time to change up your routine, Cancer. Hi, welcome to Zero's Journey. I'm Madeline. Let's get into what's coming up for you in September, starting with your mission statement from Spirit. Change it up. Try something new. Versatility. Yes, you are indeed looking at a cannabis leaf. So, what do we know about cannabis? We could talk about so many things, but what Spirit really wants to get into is its many uses. Recreational, medicinal, the many and varied uses of hemp as a protein source, as a freaking building material. There are so many things that cannabis can do. And, you know, when we think about the effects of the medicine itself, if we ingest it, it opens minds, it makes things a little more flexible, a little more funny. A lot of people would say it drops a filter or brings people to maybe a more childlike state. And when we do that, when we embody, with or without literally ingesting cannabis medicine, when we invite ourselves to occupy that childlike space, that playful space, that creative space, curious space, things can look very different. And it feels like there is something in your life where you're coming up against a lot of resistance. Like, I really want this outcome, or I really want this feeling, or this goal, or whatever this is to happen, or to be, or to develop, or whatever. And it feels like coming up against resistance, coming up against resistance, coming up against resistance. And when that happens, Cancer, change your approach. Some of you might find that when you're a little more mindful and present, you may decide to give up on certain things entirely. That's okay too. Change, versatility, curiosity. And Spirit is reminding me, you know, Cancer, they're like, hey, nothing is written in stone. You're a very emotionally charged sign. So when you say something, do something, feel something, you care about it a lot. You give it a lot. It can be hard to change your approach, to change your routine, to get out of a rut. But it's good for you. Now Spirit is reminding me, you know, Cancer, the crab, hermit crab. Hermit crabs outgrow their shells and they have to go find new ones. And that's a vulnerable place, that in between of like, I've left one shell and I'm moving on to a bigger, better one. I'm upgrading, right? Versatility. Change your approach. You've outgrown something about your old approach or something about your old situation. We're going to find out more because let's get into the story. Cancer. The month of September. Spirit. What do you want to share with Cancer? What do they need to know for their highest good? Where are they in their story? And where are they headed? What do they need to know to get there most gracefully, most joyfully, most pleasurably, with the most awareness? Spirit, what do you want to let Cancer know about the month of September 2021 for their highest good? This coming month, Spirit, what's it look like for Cancer? What are themes? What are the energies available to them? What do they want to know? Excuse me, for their highest good. That's really interesting. I haven't turned over a single card yet, Cancer, but Spirit is using the phrase magic number, magic number, magic number. What's the magic number? What's the magic number? So it feels like for some of you, maybe you need some clarity around your goals this month, as in, I want to be making this amount of money, or noticing repeating numbers. What's the magic number? When are they popping up? What has been on your mind when you start noticing the numbers? Things like that, okay? We'll find out. Let's get into it. Versatility, yes. Cancer card, we love to see it. We love to see it. Hanged one. Hey. Change your perspective. Change it up. Versatility. Look at things from a different perspective. Take a different approach. Spirit is saying, when you're walking around a museum, you can look at paintings from one dimension. You know, you can look at a 2D rendering and be like, okay, there, I got it. Not so with sculpture. 360 degrees. Look all around. You know what I'm saying? And this is interesting. Maybe this is going to make sense for some of you that might be of a spiritual bent. You are showing up loud and clear at the center of your reading as a King of Cups, as the ruler of the realm of emotions, as being very much on top of how you're feeling, your psychological motivations, willing to go deep with others, with yourself. King of Cups is absolutely a healer energy. But okay. You're showing up in your power. But Spirit is very clearly speaking of a situation that needs a change. You don't put 5 legs on a table, Cancer. Either you take one away or you add another one, because when you got 5 legs on a table, something's off balance. Something's a little weird. 5 of Wands indicates a little bit of disorganization, a little bit of lack of focus, a little bit of like, hey, what are we really trying to do here? Maybe too many cooks in the kitchen, like maybe too many leaders, not enough listeners. I'm hearing reduce. I'm hearing simplify. So you might need to streamline some of the things that you are paying for. You might need to streamline some of the things that you're working on. You might need to make a few trims. What Spirit was saying earlier is for those of you of a spiritual artistic bent, which they both spring from the spirit. The creative is the same as the spiritual, spoiler alert. Whether you are working on rendering, like, you know, drawing or painting or sculpting, anything, or you're attempting to develop your auric sight, your ability to see energy. One of the practices is to, for example, if you're looking at, let's say, an amethyst, one of the practices when you're focusing on an amethyst and learning to draw it or learning to see its energy is to act as if you can circle the whole object with your eyes. Like, see it from the back, even though you're over here. Like, imagining, like, going inward and being like, what would that look like? What are the ridges, etc., etc., etc. Spirit wants you to look at things from a different perspective, because that's going to inform a change in your approach. Like, oh, well, I had never noticed this. Maybe if I just shift this or change this or swap this out or take this out, that would make the change that I need. Versatility. Pause. Here's that Hanged one. Here they are having an epiphany, even though they're in a very uncomfortable position, right? Who would volunteer to hang upside down, tied up from a tree? Only a fool, right? But we here on Zero's Journey really love the fool. Anybody who's willing to understand that they don't know everything. That like, oh, I could stand to learn, right? No matter how old I am, no matter how smart I am, no matter how wise, how whatever. Having a student's outlook, a child's mind, benefits you. Sitting in your past. 7 of Pentacles. Looking at your money, looking at your time, looking at your energy, all resources, right? Pentacles represent all resources. Am I allocating these well? Is there a way that I could be doing this where I would end up with more money at the end of the month, more energy, more ideas, more time? This is the right time to be rearranging and re-examining. There's a lack of focus. So things really, again, I'm hearing simplify, simplify, simplify. Like, why am I paying for this over here when it's yielding so very little? Maybe if I eclipse this and I focus on this, this will grow faster and offer me more. You know what I'm saying? Simplify, trim. Any houseplant lovers or gardeners out there worth their salt know that trimming away a couple of, you know, dead or dying or even healthy branches will encourage all of the other branches to grow, will encourage the roots to strengthen. Trim. How is your organization right now? Feels like you're burning the candle at both ends to me. Feels like you're kind of exhausted. Feels like, listen, 9 of Wands says that you're alive and kicking. Like, you may be bandaged and tired, but you should see the other guy. So you're doing it. You're not flagging. You're on your way. But you could do better with a little change, with a little shift, with a little change of perspective. What is your relationship to structure and organization? The Hierophant is hovering over your reading. Traditions, churches, organizations, powers that be. I feel like some of you are tired of submitting. So it's like, even things like government institutions, right? It's like, God damn, I'm tired of pledging fealty to things and organizations and powers that don't love me back, that don't pledge their loyalty back to me. And those are the traditions and situations and organizations that I would say, let's question that. Let's question our allegiance to some of these organizations. If they do not feel like they give back what they get from me, fuck them. Simple. Hey, I said simplify, right? Cancer simple. If they don't give back, then fuck it. I don't want it. Take control. Where you find yourself, King of Wands, the King of Cups at the center of your reading. This is nice. And I can't ignore, hovering right above that. Energy around and available to you. Lovers. Union. Making a better choice. The Lovers is about a choice. Fire and water. Steam, heat. 2 leaders. Now for some of you, good time to remind you, Cancer, these are general readings, of course, so I'm hearing different things for different Cancers. For some of you, I'm hearing this is related to the too many cooks in the kitchen. Are 2 people trying to take the lead in a couple, for example, or at work, and they're pulling, it's like, instead of pulling the rope in the direction where we want to get this thing, we're playing tug of war. Why are we doing that? Like, it's all fun and games till somebody puts their fucking eye out. If you are serious about what you want, you need to figure out how to pull the rope in the direction that you're trying to get it. And that may mean for some of you having to have a come to Jesus conversation with your King of Wands person. Like, hey, if we're trying to save this money, or if we're trying to move, or if we're trying to, then we need to be on the same page, right? We can't be pulling in 2 different directions. And here's what Spirit is saying, and I love this. Relationships are mirrors. Whenever we are in relationship with someone, romantic or otherwise, there is an aspect of ourselves that we can see through them into ourselves that we would not be able to see otherwise. Is there something in your life, Cancer, where you're playing tug of war with yourself instead of being on your own side and pulling all in one direction? Future looks very promising. We're still on this topic, I promise. This is about that tug of war and getting on your own side. Chariot is a beautiful card. I love seeing this in your future. Spirit just said very loud and clear, speed, speed, speed. Things can go a lot faster and a lot better than you're thinking right now. Because right now, of course, things seem slow or still or unfocused because some changes need to be made, because you need to get on your own side. The Chariot represents the opposing forces within us. This is also, for the record, the Cancer card. This is your card of power. So, we all have our unconscious and our conscious will, right? So we say we want to get up in the morning and go for a run, and then, oops, I forgot to set my alarm. Unconscious, right? I don't want to fucking do that. Okay. Here's a simple example of the ways that we can, like, slyly sabotage our conscious efforts, because there's a part of us that's like, I don't want to fucking do that. So, rather than punishing, blaming, castigating, or at the worst, trying to, like, kill the aspect of ourselves that doesn't want to get up at 5 in the morning and go for a run, we have to get first on its side so it can get on our side. Oh, you know what? I really don't fucking like getting up at 5 in the morning. You're right. Like, sleeping is great. Like, man, getting up, it's really fucking hard. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to do that? Well, I know that when I do that, I feel physically and mentally more energetic. I know that, like, I feel more emotionally whatever. Yeah, but I want to be lazy. Well, yeah, I do. What if we were lazy every other day? What if half the time we got to sleep till whatever and half the time we got up at whatever? Like, we have to get on our own side. We can't go with one horse, one sphinx pulling the chariot and the other dragging its feet, or we're never going to get where we want to go. At the worst, we'll be stuck exactly where we are because it's actually pulling in the opposite direction. You have to get with your dark horse. You have to get with your dark sphinx. You have to get with your unconscious, with your shadowy intentions and behaviors, or else they're going to get with you. It's not a threat. It's not as ominous as it sounds. Every one of us has danced with the devil in the pale moonlight more than once in our lives, even the best of us. The devil represents those habits and addictions that keep us stuck, that keep us where we are, that keep us fucking around and not finding out. Fucking around and learning absolutely nothing and just continuing to fuck around. Nothing wrong with it. No blame, shame, judgment. That would in fact be fucking the opposite of what you want to do for yourself. You want to forgive yourself. You want to have compassion for yourself. Compassion for the fact that, like, okay, those were the only tools I had at the time. Of course, I've been doing life or relationships or work or whatever that way because, like, I didn't have different tools. But now I'm learning some new tools. I'm learning some new things. And because I'm learning some new tools and some new things, I'm down to be brave and to try some new habits. I'm down to try to make myself feel better, not by blotting out or dissociating, but by being really mindful and forgiving of myself and encouraging of myself to move forward, and taking setbacks and shit like that as opportunities to learn and change and get back on course, rather than reasons to not trust myself, reasons to hate myself, reasons to punish myself. Every one of us has danced with the devil. Every one of us has made mistakes and made the same mistake more than once. That doesn't mean that you have to keep doing it, and it doesn't mean that you're an idiot. The key and conclusion to your reading. Remember, the chariot sits in your future. The key is motion, transition, Knight of Cups, messenger of love, change inspired by love. Again, I can't ignore Knight of Cups, two kings, the lovers. For a lot of you, this indicates a really beautiful partnership. And, you know, even in really beautiful partnerships, we can have those tug of wars and those, like, whether consciously or unconsciously working for opposing purposes. Okay, so one does not negate the other. It's not a black and white, it's not a black and white thing. If you are in a beautiful partnership, but you know that you're working for opposing forces, have the conversation. Make a brave choice. Share. You are heading toward victory. And that's why Spirit is asking you now to simplify and streamline and get yourself ready. When you arrive at the finish line, you want to have enough energy left over to celebrate. That's a beautiful way to end your reading, Cancer. Wow. Thank you for listening, Cancer. If you enjoyed this, I would really deeply appreciate a like or a subscribe, or if you didn't like it, I would also appreciate that dislike. It helps me learn. Thank you for being here, Cancer. If you want to keep hanging out, I got a Discord. You can get a personal reading. I've got a Patreon. There's lots of different ways to do it. And if I don't see you in one of the Sunday vlogs, Cancer, then I hope I will see you in your October reading. Bye-bye.